welcome to Sinister Studies. Join me each episode as I delve into some truly sinister topics and traumatize my family. I'll be joined by one or more teenager, and from time to time, we'll have special guests. Be forewarned, our stories are seriously sinister, so listener discretion is always advised.
Wow, she's really serious about this right now.
Look at how melancholic she looks.
She does. It's kind of gloomy outside.
She's like yearning right now. Look at that.
It's raining again. Surprise. We had a couple nice days. Right? I'll probably cut it.
For that drought that happened
3 years ago. It only rained for like two years. It's good.
I think we are right now. Truly, I think we are. It's supposed to be April showers. Bring May flowers.
We've had very few flowers because there's been so much rain.
But I guess the April showers bring
more showers?
Showers as well. Be coming.
So we are going to be talking about a sensitive subject matter.
Oh, we're just going straight into it. You just
okay, all right. Then
what
would you like to tell us anything?
Thought Pippa had a bug on her. It's just a scab.
Just a scab because she got into
a scrap.
Yeah, with her big sister who kicked her ass.
Yeah. Zoe's got hands.
If Zoe was a person, she would have put her hair in a ponytail and pulled her earrings off.
I know.
That's how that scrap went down.
She would have been dragging Pippa by the
So yes, we are going to be talking about a serious subject matter. I guess. I mean, we've talked about some pretty serious subject matter so far.
Case was very...
Yeah. So this is not actually a true crime story. This is more about sinister places.
What do you mean, sinister places?
Sinister places. Would you go walking in the middle of a forest by yourself?
Probably not, no.
No? Why?
I don't like walking in forests in general because that's where the bugs are, and there's always like branches and shit. I'm gonna trip in the middle and by myself. Why would I choose to go out into the middle of the woods by myself?
Because some people do.
No, but why would I?
I don't know why you would. You and I glamp. Today, we are going to be talking... Well, I'll just go right into it.
Wait, is this about...
This is about...
What is this about?
Aokigahara. Aokigahara is also known as Jukai, or the Sea of Trees.
The Sea of Trees?
The Sea of Trees.
What is this?
It is a forest on the Japanese island of Honshu.
Okay. Yeah.
It is adjacent to Mount Fuji and is about 100 miles from Tokyo.
Okay. So, what about
the forest?
The forest
boasts a pair of pretty cool caves, actually, which are frequented by tourists.
Okay, nice.
It boasts a pair of caves which were formed after a violent eruption of Mount Fuji about 1,000 years ago. It's about 70 foot long, and it's a frozen cave.
Okay, wait, that's kind of cool.
As the name Ice Cave would suggest. Year-round, it naturally maintains a pretty consistent temperature of 0 degrees Celsius, which would be 32 degrees Fahrenheit.
So cold.
It has impressive ice pillars that actually get larger in the winter. Visitors are required to have an experienced tour guide when they enter the cave because it is in its natural state. There are no walkways, railings, or safety precautions in an effort to preserve the natural beauty of the cave.
Yeah, I think that's good.
There's also the Wind Cave, which is the largest in a series of lava tubes. It's almost 660 feet long and 28 feet tall. It also boasts ice pillars as the temperature in this cave hovers just above freezing. The cave does not produce echoes because the walls are made of lava.
Okay, this one's kind of cool. That's cool. I'm looking at pictures. Like, okay.
They are pretty cool.
That looks like a...
Like when we go to New Hampshire, I want to go to like the caves up there, the polar caves and stuff like that. There's some really awesome caves in Virginia. I know you're not interested in going to Virginia, but there's some pretty awesome ones that your grandparents brought me to.
This shit looks like ethereal.
Isn't it? I mean, it's amazing. The whole area, it is a beautiful area. It's just a stunning area in general.
Also, like, side thing, there is this joke where I don't know if it was like, I think it was a typo. Somebody like accidentally made it. They were trying to call someone ethereal, but they called her Yuri.
That is a very different word.
No, whenever I think of the word ethereal, I think Yuri.
So somebody got called a pee tube.
It plagues me. It troubles me. I'm afflicted with this.
So, as I'm sure you probably can imagine, the reason I fixated on this is because of the unfortunate events that happened recently with one of my friends from when I was quite young. Not quite young.
I mean,
younger, much younger.
Yeah.
Divide me in two, and that's where we are.
Okay.
And where unfortunately my friend was found in a forest.
Yeah.
We're not sure of the outcome on that at this point, but it got me thinking. Jukai also has a high density of trees and is very unique because while there's animals in the area, such as deer, flying squirrels, and black bear, it doesn't seem that they make a lot of noise. Because if you remember, the whole area was made after a volcanic eruption. So underneath all of the forest is a floor of lava, which is absorbing all the noise. The trees are so dense that many times if it's raining in the area, you can hike in the forest and not get wet.
Oh.
The pictures of the area are very stunning. It's a beautiful forest.
How do you spell it?
When I give you what it's called on the side, you'll be able to look it right up. I'm not going to spell a Japanese word for you.
But you have it written down, don't you?
Yes, it's a long word.
Oh, okay. You don't want to go through letter by letter right now?
No.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm just really happy that I can mostly pronounce it because I have it on good authority from my good friend at work that most of the Asian names are spelled out the way they should sound. But our brains as Americans short wire when we see all those letters put together.
So it's more like phonetic?
It is, yeah. So think about our forests.
Yeah.
We're taught.
You do get wet when you walk in them.
Okay, yes, you do get wet when you walk in them. But we're also taught that if we go into the forest and suddenly there's no animal noise, it means there's probably a predator in the area.
Yeah.
So think about walking in this forest that has things such as black bear, and it's just silent.
Eerie as fuck.
Because of the silence, many people consider it a haunted place and will avoid it at all costs.
Horse.
Visitors are urged to use guides when entering the forest and stay on the marked trails. Visitors who choose not to stay on the marked trails are encouraged to mark their back trail as they hike so they can find their way out. This is because the landscape is vast, dense, and almost monotonous in nature. The trees are ancient, massive, and very intimidating. Some of them look like octopus. if you see them in haze. Their root systems are everywhere. It's very crazy. The entrance of Jukai sports some highly irregular signage. As far as forests go, that is. An example of these signs translates into your life is something precious that was given to you by your parents. Or meditate on your parents, siblings, and your children once more. Do not be troubled alone.
Oh, wait, what was that last one again?
Meditate on your parents, siblings.
Is this a suicide forest?
Yes.
I was like, this sounds an awful lot like they're trying to get somebody not to kill themselves.
Because, as you said, Jukai is also known as the suicide forest. I am not going to refer to it as such. It is a very sensitive subject with the Japanese people.
What, like the forest itself, or the killing yourself? Or both?
Both.
But like, what specifically?
We'll get there.
Oh, okay.
On average, around 100 suicides are discovered annually. But the actual number may be far greater, as officials believe that there are many people that are not found due to the size and density of the forest. There's also the fact that they may have had trees fall on them. Animals could have gotten to them.
So it's just like they can never know for sure.
They could never know for sure. Exactly. The official statistics are pretty bleak. The average demographic that choose this forest are men between 40 and 50 years old, and the most active months for suicides is in March. It is assumed that this is the case because the end of the Japanese fiscal year is in March.
Oh, okay. Suppose that makes sense with the demographic and all.
The government conducts annual sweeps of the forest to bring in the bodies and hopefully provide closure to families of missing people. Tourists are urged to stay, again, on the trails to avoid finding any morbid surprises. And to add to that, many people experiences compasses and cell phones not working properly into the forest due to the iron-rich environment and the lava.
That's kind of freaky, though. Like, imagine it's dead silent and nothing's fucking working.
And you're lost in your head. Like, you can hear yourself breathe in an environment like that.
Like, that's just scary.
Yeah, it's insane. Your mind can definitely get away from you in a situation like that. I mean, I've been in the woods that I know, and been afraid that I've gotten turned around backwards.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine that being the case.
So it's like maybe people also didn't go in there with the intention to die, but got lost and ended up dying in there anyway.
That's very, very likely. Because as much as they do monitor the area, they're not going to find everybody.
Yeah.
And I have watched a number of videos and read a bunch of things, and they frequently have cars with layers of dirt and dust in the parking lot, whether they came to end it or they got lost in the forest and couldn't find their way out. They won't know until they find them, and sometimes they don't.
So why do people still go hiking there?
Because it's stunning. It's also considered a sacred place.
Oh, by whom specifically? Or are we going to get into that later?
In Buddhist.
Okay, that makes sense.
Unfortunately, even when tourists do stay on the trail, many still encounter haunting reminders of the horrific act that many feel compelled to take. There have been reports of empty campsites, discarded clothing, ropes hanging from trees, or even caution tape that has been hung by rescuers to mark a site. Locals have become pretty adept at pegging the forest visitors as to who's a tourist, who's there to just take in the beauty of Mother Nature, and those who don't intend on leaving. The history of Jukai isn't much better. There's evidence that the forest was used during feudal times as a dumping ground for elders, most of whom were women. They were brought into the forest and left to starve, so not to cause undue burden to the struggling families.
Interesting.
I've seen things that say that some occasionally the elders would go into the forest themselves, so not to force their children to make that decision, which I can respect that choice. I would never
make us decide if you were to walk into a forest and starve to death.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah,
I'd rather just make that decision by myself.
Rest assured, I would say no. Don't do that.
Well, if your brother sends me to the forest, you'll have to come and get me.
That's what we got Life 364.
Exactly. But it won't work there. It will not work.
There.
Not there.
But why would he ship you overseas just keep going into the forest and starve? Be better to find a more local forest, like, in the country.
One would think, yes. But I mean, there are plenty of deep forests. We'll get into some of those stories too eventually. According to Japanese mythology, the area is haunted by demons, and the trees themselves hold malevolent energy.
The trees are evil?
The trees are not evil, but they have absorbed malevolent energy.
So they're just charged with bad vibes now?
Yes, it's like a really angry person just holding it inside because they don't want to expose anybody else to their rage. That's what these poor trees are doing. It is also said that the Yurei, or ghosts of the vengeful dead, make their home in the forest. The superstition is so bad that when officials find a body, they bring it into an area that is specifically designed to hold corpses.
Oh.
It's like a forest side morgue. Can you imagine if the EPA here ran a morgue on the side?
That's crazy. Wait, what's the superstition?
That the Yurei, which are the ghosts of the vengeful dead, make their home in the forest.
Oh, so they don't want to take them.
Their bodies are never left unattended because, according to lore, if they're left alone, their Yurei will become enraged and will start making noise and moving the body on its own accord. So there's always an officer in the room with the bodies. They even sleep in the room if they have to sleep.
But then they're not being monitored.
They cannot leave the dead alone until they're properly interred.
That's scary. Imagine that's your job.
Yeah. I did read somewhere that they play rock, paper, scissors or draw straws to see who gets that job.
Why? Because nobody wants to fucking do that?
Nobody wants to do that. I wouldn't want to do that.
Because that's frightening. You're sitting in a room with dead bodies, and that shit probably smells too.
Oh, absolutely.
And you just have to sit there with dead bodies?
Decomposing
rotting corpses?
Animals are terrible. Terrible to smell. If you smell a dead animal, you're going to know it's a dead animal. When the day comes that you smell a decomposing animal, you will know that that is what that smell is. I promise you, there will be no doubt in your mind.
Oh my God. And it's not just, and then you're just looking at them too. I mean, do they have to watch them or do they just have to stay? I mean, because if they can sleep on the job, then they just have to stay, right? But it's also you must feel haunted as fuck in there.
Yeah.
It must feel terrible in there.
I'm sure that it is a really oppressive environment to work.
Just spiritually oppressive?
Yes.
Yeah. Especially if you believe that they're evil spirits, and if you leave for a moment, they're gonna reanimate and probably do evil shit because they're angry.
Yeah. I think I would be okay, maybe working in like a morgue or something like that. Probably not. That would just sketch me out. All quiet, knowing that there's dead people on the wall. I don't know. I couldn't imagine just having them lying out. Oh, no.
Just having them chill. Like, are they in the same room, or
yes?
There
has to be a living person with these,
like, in the room, even if they're sleeping. Wait,
as long as there's a person in the room,
as long as there's a living being,
that means they're not being left alone.
But if they're
so alone, they're not going to. They'll become more enraged if they're alone, because their spirits are lost.
So they feel like more connected and like less vitriolic if there's like a person there.
Maybe.
Person to ask.
In 2010, Japan stopped sharing the number of deaths in an attempt to minimize the morbid fascination with the area.
That's kind of fair, but also like...
They've also installed security cameras in the parking area and at the entrance to the forest so they can better monitor who goes into the forest and, even more importantly, who comes out of the forest.
Makes sense.
The Japanese do have a long history with the idea of suicide being the noble option out. As far back as we can remember, there has been the tradition of seppuku. It is a practice mainly used by the samurai, and this is a more honorable way to go out should you be captured or defeated by your enemy. It is usually by kiri, which is the act of cutting one's stomach for the end result of death. Usually, actually, we could probably watch some movies. We got a couple movies where they do it. The one with Keanu Reeves, Ronin, maybe.
Who knows?
You have to be a special type of person to have the fortitude to do that, because that's a painful way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a painful way to go. If a samurai has been caught doing something nefarious and punishment for that crime is death, many times they are given the option to do this themselves. If it's especially heinous, they'll be disemboweled. As we know, in World War II, the Japanese also had kamikaze pilots that would rather go down in flames than be caught by the enemy. In the forest, people have reported hearing voices calling out for help or ear-shattering screams coming from deeper inside the forest.
That's frightening.
When you go to find the source, you're usually met with a decomposing body or just nothing.
That's really upsetting.
Isn't it? It's
like, I really don't like that.
Many suspect that the Yurei may be responsible for the screams.
I mean, that makes sense.
So I did read many, many things on this. And I read one where the guy just felt compelled to go to the forest. He doesn't know why he chose to go to the forest. He just wound up at the forest. One of those things. I've driven places, not exactly sure how I've gotten there because I've been off in my head. He ends up in the forest. He's pretty deep and decides maybe it's time to go back, when he sees an ominous-looking man and a small girl in the forest. So he gets concerned that there's a strange dude and a little girl making their way further in the woods, which could only be for nefarious purposes. So he starts following them deeper in the woods to try to figure out what is going on, when he hears them whispering to each other about how they got him to follow him.
Like that. I don't like that.
And maybe it's like those experiences where the spirit just takes your worst fear or the worst thing you can think of and make it come to light in that moment to draw you in. On a spiritual level, the forest is considered a sacred place to the Japanese, and modern Buddhist monks often set up altars in the forest in an attempt to thwart evil spirits from calling desperate people to their doom. There are stories about ancient monks who would go into the forest to hardcore meditate. Take this as you may. You'll see where it gets a little weird. They would eat leaves and twigs for 1,000 years.
1,000 years?
1,000 years.
Would they die?
After which they would either starve themselves or
Wouldn't they die?
or bury themselves alive.
What if they die?
I mean, that's where we're going here.
Oh.
Where they would meditate themselves to death.
That's... How are they eating leaves for that long, though?
They're malnourished. They really don't have much in their bodies, so there's not as much to decompose. So they die in this forest where all this foliage grows rapidly in odd shapes, and it can completely engulf a person very quickly. They've found the bodies of mummified monks in the forest. They're actually on display in museums in Japan.
Wait, but how did they eat leaves for 1,000 years? What do you mean?
I would say, I mean, maybe if you go like 1,000 days, that probably seems like 1,000 years if you're eating leaves and twigs and are in a completely silent forest by yourself. I mean, that would translate to me. Hell, even 100 days in that type of environment can seem like a millennia.
But why did they say 1,000 years then?
Because...
Or 10,000? Was it 10,000? Was it 1,000 or 10,000?
This is the mythology of the area.
But you gave me a number.
I know. That's what they say, 1,000 years. I don't make the rules. I'm just speculating that it's probably a much shorter number, but feels like so much longer because of the situation that they're in. To try to find enlightenment, this is what they're doing.
I suppose it makes sense, but
And they do find mummified monks all over Asia.
So I guess that makes sense. I mean, that does seem like a good place to meditate, though. You're one with nature. There's not many people around. It's quiet.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's like, if you're going to meditate, you're going to meditate.
You're truly going to meditate yourself to death in this forest.
Yeah,
because
it's so disorienting being in there.
If you're highly spiritual, you can probably push through, but once your mind starts wandering, eventually you'll start hallucinating, audio hallucinations.
Yeah, especially because it's quiet.
Yeah.
Your brain's going to be like, oh, we need noise. To hear shit.
Visitors to Jukai have found suicide notes. Again, nooses hanging from trees, discarded shoes and clothing, encampments that appeared to be demolished, and there have been reports of a small abandoned house in the forest. Which sounds really fucking creepy to me.
A whole house?
Yes. I know you've probably never watched Cabin in the Woods, but there's a decrepit old house in the woods.
I was gonna say, is there a cabin in the woods?
Yeah, it's a shady ass freaking cabin in the woods. It sounds like Jukai may be the perfect scenario for Cabin in the Woods to play out.
So why would there be a cabin in the woods then? Why would there be a little house in the woods?
If you want to see Chris Hemsworth die, watch that movie.
Why would there be a house in the woods, though?
And I'm not sure. I don't remember if he's... Yes, he does die.
Like, why would they build a house in that forest? What's the point?
I don't know. I don't know that anybody knows why there's an abandoned cabin in the woods in the middle of this forest.
That's freaky. I don't...
Many people report feeling like someone is pulling them along by their hands or clothing, like a little kid when they want you to go somewhere. Many survivors of the forest say that they've had survivors. People do come out of the forest.
It's that bad that you gotta call them survivors.
the majority of the things that I have found, not all of them, but many of them, have had one of two experiences. Some say that as they've been getting deeper and deeper into the forest, they've been egged on by voices or apparitions urging them deeper and deeper into the gloom. And as they've gotten further and further ensnared by their surroundings, their feelings of confusion and despair grows. Many times these hikers have not gone into the forest to end it all, but get tripped up. The others, many of whom have ventured into the forest to end it, say that they've been saved by spirits in the forest, report having a feeling that washes over them with feelings of peace and love. There have even been reports of apparitions, basically giving them a reason to move, keep moving.
So, do the ghosts want people to die in there or not?
I think it's like in any haunted environment. You run the gamut. You're going to have good spirits and you're going to have bad spirits. Maybe the spirits that get tripped up in the woods are the ones who are angry and trying to draw people into their fate. While the people who have gone there because they're that desperate for release are the ones who are urging others to not do this.
Although, I guess if somebody went into the woods and was going to kill themselves and the ghosts were like, do it, they probably wouldn't survive to tell the tale. So they could be telling people to kill themselves. Just a toss-up on which ghosts you get. They could.
Yeah,
I don't know.
No, it's absolutely true.
We just don't know, because if you're being like, I'm going to kill myself in here, and then there's ghosts telling you should kill yourself, you're probably going to do it.
And there are myths about demons being in the forest, and as we all know, demons are not really shiny, happy beings.
But I guess it makes sense, because if somebody didn't go in the forest meaning to kill themselves, there wouldn't be ghosts telling them not to do it because they weren't planning on doing it.
Yes.
So I guess
so these would be the Uri that are being vengeful and trying to add to their ranks.
I guess we'll never know.
I'm thinking we probably will never know. I find it unlikely that we're going to end up there.
I really hope not.
I actually reached out. Our friend Steve-O, the one who you're going to jail with in about 8 years or so.
Yeah.
when you guys just punch the shit out of that girl, you guys will get bailed out. It's okay.
By whom? Who's bailing us out? You, Dad.
There'll be bail money set aside for the both of you. But he actually just came back from Japan. He did post some really stunning pictures of the area, one of which actually, I believe you can see the forest in the background. I did reach out to him last night. He probably texted Dad, like, what the fuck is wrong with your wife? But I did send him a message and asked him if he had been to the forest. He did not go. He did go to the more touristy stuff around the forest. He did not venture into the forest itself.
Okay.
At the end of the day, Japan still holds death in any form as sacred. And they are trying to dissuade the morbid travelers from going to the forest. So they rarely give permission.
It's disrespectful.
Yeah, it is very.
You're like, I'm gonna go to the forest and find some dead bodies. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah, some of the videos I saw were just fucking ridiculous.
Oh my god, did you hear about? I think it was. I don't know.
We're gonna talk about it. I know what you're talking about.
We're gonna talk about it. Okay.
We are. So, they rarely give permission for film crews to film in the forest, but I have watched, again, a number of videos where people have done just that, either by sneaking in recording equipment or by simply using their cell phones to record. In fact, in 2017, Logan Paul, everyone's favorite douchebag, went to the forest for his YouTube channel.
And filmed the fucking video there, and everybody shout on him because fuck that for real.
Because while he was there, the crew came across a body hanging from a tree.
And he posted it on YouTube. Like, that's not
Yes.
insanely disrespectful.
Yes, they
and
not
also
only
disgusting.
filmed it, but he posted it. The cat and the dog are having a boxing match currently. They not only did he film it, but then he released it to the public on YouTube on a global platform. This is something that went viral.
Oh yeah.
We're like, this person's family are out there.
Yeah.
Can you imagine seeing that on this jackass's YouTube channel? Like finding out that that's how your loved one had passed?
And it's probably
Because fucking Logan Paul points them out?
Yeah. And it's not like you want to see like your loved ones that way. So it's like, ugh, man, fuck that. Like it was, yeah, no.
No. I mean, I think I've always thought he was a douchebag. This makes him a super douche.
And annoying, generally.
He is a very annoying person. I'm rooting for Mike Tyson.
What?
I'm rooting for Mike Tyson. We'll get stickers made up. Team Tyson.
We'll start selling merch.
So Logan Paul was forced to remove the video and had to make a public apology.
Oh my god, I wonder why.
During which, like the douchebag he is, he fucking quotes a line from Spider-Man.
From Spider-Man?
With great power comes great responsibility.
No!
He feels... I'm sorry. Not only is he not Uncle Ben, he's not Peter Parker. I don't know what to tell him.
He wishes
Other
he was that
than
cool.
He can go fuck himself.
Yeah.
In the aftermath, he lost his status with the YouTube Preferred program and lost millions in sponsorships and endorsements.
Well, yeah, because it got him in major hot water.
Yes. The utter disregard for somebody's life.
And just like, that's so... Also, it's like, you have a lot of kids watching his videos. His demographic is mostly children. So it's like, you're going to post that
That is a completely other fact that I did not even touch on.
Audience of children? Because even, like, that's just a disturbing thing to subject anybody to. But, like, children especially?
Especially when you're like, I'm in this forest, this is really happening.
And, like, sensationalizing it, too. Like, that's just fucking
It's
gross.
not okay. It is never okay to disrespect someone's life like that.
Ugh. And it's like, I don't even have a phone and I heard about that shit when it happened. So it's like, it was a big deal. Like, everybody, it was, like, news.
It was news.
Because he was also, like, at, like, maybe a little past the peak of his career. But he was still, like, a lot more.
I mean, he's fighting Mike Tyson, and he's in the WWE. He's definitely at the peak of his career.
His YouTube career. Like, his career as a content creator.
I'm being sarcastic, yes, I know.
Yeah, but, he was, like, slightly past it, but he was still, you know, had, like, God knows how many subscribers, blah, blah, blah. Like, he was relatively...
He lost millions of dollars.
Successful.
Millions
so
of
it's like, this
subscribers.
was a big thing. Because, you know, a lot of people were watching it, and he's posting this shit to his very big, very young audience. Like, of course.
And I'm sure that people of Japan, not only was that a gut punch for him to do something like that, but it was even worse because he made such a friggin' half-assed, clearly not authentic apology.
I should have put the cameras down and stopped recording what we were going through. I never should have posted the video. No shit! But then you recorded it. Not only did you record it, not only did you continue recording, but you decided, okay, after you got the footage, you're like, okay, we're going to go through and we're going to edit this video. Like, you decide, okay, video's good. Now we're going to edit it so we can release it. Went through editing it, didn't edit that out.
Exactly.
And then had to upload it and didn't once think, maybe I shouldn't. And then didn't delete it until he started losing money because of it.
He literally had to make so many bad decisions.
Just to get to that point. There's a lot of things I should have done differently, but I didn't. Yeah, no shit. I'm reading his apology right now. I want to apologize to the internet. That's the first person you apologize to, the internet. The last person he apologizes to is to the victim and his family. The last person in the list.
That should be the first people on his list, followed by the Japanese people as a whole for disrespecting.
I want to apologize to the internet, apologize to anybody who has seen the video, to anyone who has been affected or touched by mental illness or depression or suicide, but most importantly, it's like, okay, why are you apologizing to the internet? Like, you're not being insensitive and disgusting and disrespectful to the internet. You're being disgusting and disrespectful to the victims and the Japanese culture and, like, the people. And, like, everybody who knew them. And also just, like, gross.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Because really, when you get down to it, regardless of who you are, people's lives are sacred and shouldn't ever be exploited in this type of manner. You on again? In short, Aokigahara is a stunning place. It is a place where you definitely can visit. I would only suggest doing so if you are interested in the beauty of the forest as a whole. Please respect the beliefs and cultures of basically anywhere you visit, like truly.
Yeah, don't be insensitive and stupid.
Don't exploit it. Don't be a jerk. The cat and the dog are boxing again. And the cat's down.
Oh.
Pippi, are you like Mike Tyson in this situation? You're going to beat the baby? She's like, yes, I am. Before we wrap this up, I just want to say to anybody considering this that whoever you are, your life does matter to somebody, to anybody. You're worth everything.
Like, even if it's just like the coffee place you always go to, or a restaurant you always order from, or like the cashier at a store you go to, it's like they're gonna notice you're gone. They're going to feel you're missing, even if like you don't think of knowing them. But true. You do know them. You are part of somebody else's lives, whether you like it or not. So
we love you. If you are in this type of situation, you can always reach out to the suicide prevention hotline, which I'm going to give you now, which is 1-800-273-8255. Also, with the birth of cell phones, you can dial 988 from your cell phone to talk or text to the crisis lifeline. With that in mind, I just wanted to let you know that I got an email today.
What?
Maybe because I've been researching this, but it's from Reddit. That said somebody reported to Reddit that I may be like, well, let me see if I can pull it up.
Did you post anything about it?
I did not post anything about it. So, I did read almost every...
I've gotten those from like Instagram. It's like somebody thinks, I don't know, but it's like, I don't think it's actually a person doing it. I think it's just an algorithm. Like, yo, what you said was kind of weird.
Trash, there it is.
I
trashed it. I didn't, but here's the thing.
Like somebody wants to help or something. And it crashed my Instagram multiple times.
What?
So I promise I'm not going to kill myself. Okay, what does this say?
I'm looking for it. Messages. The email says, "Hi there. A concerned Redditor reached out to us about you. When you're in the middle of something painful, it may feel like you don't have a lot of options. But whatever you're going through, you deserve help, and there are people here to help you. It also gives the information that I already provided to everyone. It does go further, but yes.
What do you mean it goes further?
Like, it's like literally 5 paragraphs long, this email.
It may not feel like it, but you have options.
So clearly, the internet is following our actions. They probably looked at my search history and said, she got problems.
Do you ever Google something, you ever look something up, and it's just like, it gives you like the 988 number, and it's like, you ever Google something and it gives you like a hotline in response?
I have not done that, except for this particular case.
Because it's like, I don't know. I've had to research for a few things, and it's just like, help is available. You get this bad boy.
What did you?
I just Googled the word suicide.
Well, okay. I can understand why that would come up immediately.
No, but like sometimes you just Google something. Like I don't know what it was for. It might have been for health. Something about like drug overdoses or something, and it was just like, help is available. I'm like, okay.
Hey, Zuzu. Dogs are getting antsy. Before we wrap up, it's that time of day again. Just wanted to let everybody know, tell your friends that we are available for streaming. We are available not only on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon, but now also iHeartRadio, YouTube Music, Pandora, and Stitcher.
Whatever the fuck Stitcher is, I don't know.
Your uncle says that it's this older podcast platform. That's all I know.
Oh, hey.
There's that black bear that's been hiding in the forest. They just had a boxing match and Seb lost. He did. There he is.
Oh, my little handsome dude.
Good to you, dude.
Oh. Wow. I have a lot to say.
Anyway, a long night ahead of me, a long day tomorrow. I'm going to wrap things up. Follow us on any of those platforms.
It's following on most of the platforms, but if this is subscribing on some of them, maybe. I don't know. I don't use a majority of them. Facebook. Instagram.
Sinister Studies Pod.
Email us. Also
at gmail.com.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else we got to plug? Rate us, maybe, potentially. That would be cool.
Thank you.
And if you take nothing else away from this, if you're struggling, don't kill yourself because you have to outlive Logan Paul. Adios.
What the fuck?